Do we have any more in the waiting room, Sarah, or do you want me to start?
No, I think we can start for now, and
Perfect.
I'll let people in as they come.
Well, thank you, everyone, and welcome. I know that this is the meeting before the meeting. We're officially starting at 7. We have Khadijah Diggs, so she's going to give us a excellent, really inspiring chat about triathlon, what is being a Muslim woman to triathlon, something that myself, I would like to learn a lot from you, Khadijah, as well. We thought to have this pre-meeting chat because I know a few of you were curious about triathlons and had some doubts about what it entails and what it encompasses. So first of all, I'm Bianca. I am the chair of On Her Tri UK. I will officially also present myself at 7 as well for the new people joining the call. And I'm joined today by Samra from Cycle Sisters, and obviously Sarah, who has been helping us as well to put this together. I am a triathlete. I've been doing triathlon since 2018. I am a multi-time, 5-time Ironman finisher. But I really started with just a tiny triathlon. Didn't know how to swim, didn't own a bike. So completely started at beginner level. So what is a triathlon? So triathlon, you can is one sport, although it has 3 disciplines. So it's a swim, bike, and run. Always happens in this order, and then you have your time for transition, in between these 3 disciplines. The as in, like, if you come from cycling or running, the same as there are different distances in those sports, it's the same in triathlon. They are the smallest triathlon you can do, which is typically called a super sprint, which is the one that I started. It will have some sort of like 300 meters swim. Sometimes it can be done in a pool, followed by 6 mile, 5 mile, 6 mile bike, and then 1 to 2 mile, 1 to 3 mile run, or even less than that. So it's definitely a perfect way to enter into the sport and just get yourself, sort of like that flavor what it is, especially if you have to learn to swim like I did. I didn't want to extend myself to have to swim, like larger distances. Once I did my first, I actually really loved it. I found it like really fun. I did it everything in I didn't have any gear. I just bought the cheapest bike out of the decathlon for like 100 pounds. And I did obviously didn't have any equipment, so I just did it in my swimsuit and just put some running shorts on top, which I know, that will be challenging, for different phase, but like in my case, that's what I did. Like, I didn't buy anything particular. I was living in Spain at the time, so I didn't need a wetsuit, which was also helped with the cost. But then as I progressed in the sport, then I said, yeah, I want to stay here. And then you just start of like finding out what are the key elements that you can just make your life easier in the sport. What are the financial investment that you have to do in order to stay in the sport. Like, triathlons is one of the sports that is more financially exclusive. Sadly, it's not like running that you can just chuck in some pair of trainers and go. Obviously, the biggest cost is the bike. Thankfully, like, I hope most of you are cycle sisters, so you hopefully own a bike. Then the second cost was mostly be the wetsuit, but obviously if you have to learn to swim, that's going to be additional swimming lessons and that kind of and all of that time invested in it. I really love the sport. I'm just somebody who just loves triathlon. I just love each sport individually, including the swim, which I'm really bad at. But even that, I just love it. So my emails, my DMs are always welcome for questions around, how do you get started? I'm going to speak at 7 when we have all the participants joining, around what we're doing for her trial and how can we support you, via sponsorship and mentorship. But even if you're not part of those programs, like, we have a vibrant community that's always like keen to help any newbies in the sport. I think there were questions in the Cycle Sister chat about cutoffs, for example. So for the smaller triathlons, they will typically be quite relaxed in terms of the time it will be. And the reason for that, the cutoffs are mostly driven out of road closures. And the smaller triathlons, especially local, will not have road closed. So it will typically be okay to, I mean, not spend all day there, but, it will typically not be pushed for time. Once you move into the longer triathlons, half Ironman, and the sort of distance cutoffs are involved, and they can be quite brutal. So, me when I started, I was quite slow. I was a much slower athlete. So my journey was just I could do the three things, but I could just not do it in the time that it will require for me to do a half Ironman or an Ironman. And all my training was in order for me to become faster, in order for me to not just do the distance, but just do it in the certain time. So I hope that's still years away for some of you, like you're just really wanting to enter the sport, starting with a small triathlon, uh, one that's community entry level, that is just inclusive, supportive, and you don't have to worry about those things. But obviously, once you want to stay in the sport and progress in the sport, then we will have to look into all of those additional elements that need to happen. One of the things that I just wanted to touch that we want to do in Fun Her Try with this partnership with Cycle Sister is just raise awareness about the challenges faced by Muslim women when doing a race. What can race organizers do in order to make the race more achievable to women from a Muslim from your faith. This is something that I have to learn myself, and I will be traveling here very close to Sambra and Sarah to understand. And then we can just bring all those challenges to governing bodies, to race directors, and hopefully we can change is always quite frustrating because it's just so slow and it feels like you're always faced with headwind. But I think if we just manage to implement some of these small tweaks that will make the sport just much more accessible for you girls, that will be an incredible achievement for her try in the next year. So it was just I just wanted to give a quick intro into the sport. I welcome any questions. If you have them, you can pop them in the chat. But also, if you want to raise your hand and just come in chat with us, just let us know. We have about 6 minutes before everybody else joins us, so we can use the time.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Bianca. I think as everyone thinking about question and stuff, besides the thinking about like clothes and modesty and a lot of things that we think through about from one sport to the other, swim, bike, run. I think it's just a transition in time. Like in bigger, I mean, I recently did the triathlon, and it was so much fun, but it was obviously flexible because it was an entry level. So the transition in time wasn't as restricted or as stressful. In a bigger event that are much more concrete, how does that work out? And like how much time are you allowed to transition from one
So you
sport
have all the time if you want to go and have a burger and just just go for a 3-course meal, nothing will prevent you. The whole event is timed though, from start to finish. So from when you enter the water until you cross the finish line on your run, that that event is timed out. So all the time that you're spending in transition, that's just eating away in your overall finishing time. I am a big faffer, honestly. Like I go to transition, like thinking like, oh, am I gonna put my makeup? I'm gonna do my hair. So I waste a lot of time in transition. And then when you look at your overall time, you say like, my God, I could have just done that quicker, couldn't I? But no, there's in the longer triathlons, half Ironman and Ironman, there'll typically be a sort of like a limit in transition. It's not even a time in there.
It's an overall time.
It's an overall time,
So
yes.
for the vast majority, it's 17 hours.
Yes.
You have 2 hours and 10 minutes to complete this swim. Total, you have 10 hours and 30 minutes to get off of the bike, and then you have the remainder of the time to finish the entire run. For championship races, and there are some select races, you lose 30 minutes, and that is because of time differences and road closures. For a 70.3, And I say 70.3 because Ironman is just a brand. It's not a
Yeah, yeah.
distance. 70.3, it's half of that. And then for Olympic distance, most of the Olympic distance, unless you race WT, are a lot more, which is World Triathlon Series races and World Triathlon Cup races. Their limits are generally 4 to 4.5 hours, but a lot of times when you're racing in those series of events, most of the athletes they're either professional elite or elite age groupers. So time cutoffs don't become but they have at some races, because I've been in a couple races that yeah, even as elite athletes, they're bumping up against the time limits. But one of the things I would love for you to remember as a Muslim, when you look at us as a whole, we're more the same than different. The
Mm.
the only thing that separates us from every other athlete and what has created so much controversy is the hijab, and the fact that we don't wear short sleeves and short tights. And most of us I wear a skirt on the run. I do not wear a skirt on the bike, but our preferences when it comes to modesty. And I also want you to remember, as of this year, this is why I say I love 2023. As of this year, WT has rules in place for Muslim women. If a race is sanctioned, you have every right to be covered for the entirety of your race. In the United States, if you race a US sanctioned race, as of this year, you have the right to be covered. You have the right to wear your hijab. You have the right to swim and swim, bike, and run in long tights and long sleeve shirts. So remember that I can't vouch for every single country, but I do know if it is sanctioned by World Triathlon, you have that right. And remember that.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So much. Thank you. Bianca, we seem to have a lot of questions. So questions related to Khadijah, we're gonna keep those in the chat
Yes.
and we will respond to it when the events start. But Bianca, we have 2 minutes and there's a question from EJ about how she's nervous about cycling. Do you have any recommendation of when can we get where kind of one can get cycling?
So I if EJ, just let us know if you're London based. Is
I think
that yeah?
yeah.
Well, so I truly recommend my cycling club. Obviously, I'm biased, right? But it's where I started as a beginner, and it's where I've been for 6 years. We have our open ride this Saturday, which I'm actually going to share. There's no minimum speed. You just come in there, and it's just incredibly inclusive. Cycling is one of the sport I really get better by cycling. And definitely at like a lot of clubs, just are not welcoming to beginners. It's really hard to just get into like the club vibe, because you have to be of a level in order to cycle with a club, but you cannot get to that level because you don't cycle with a club. So it's sort of like cyclical. But I definitely, and my club is also female only, so it's just really, really excellent vibe. We have, from world triathletes, world class elite, to just people that are coming, for the first ride, and just buying a bike. So I can send some recommendations in the chat later for that. If anybody wants to, I can also share how I improve, like my cycling journey as well, in addition to cycling with others. But yes, totally recommend Live Camden, as a cycling club. It's just excellent. It's just...
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And we have I know there's loads of questions in the chat, but we have received them. We've got a separate document for them, so we will be responding to them throughout the day. So I will come back to you, and I think it's 7 o'clock. So Bianca, over to you to start the maybe wait a couple of seconds to get everyone in.
Yes. There was another question, which I guess it was, we give a minute for other people to join. Is there official data on how many Muslims take part in triathlons? We can try and find that. When we opened for her trial, we had some data around how many women take part in triathlons, and we also have we receive all the data around gender and diversity. So racial diversity was there as well. So whilst we didn't receive the numbers for Muslim, we do know that about only like 2 or 3% of people of color do triathlons in the UK, which is incredibly low.
And it's even less in the US. It's
Yes.
even less. Yeah.
It's even so the number is going to be just shocking.
Yeah.
So it's why it's important that we do this work and that we bring, you know, a visibility helps, you know, like if I see if like when I started doing triathlon as a Black woman, like I didn't know anybody like me doing it. I was just totally alone in the start line, both as a Black person and as a woman. But being there, being visible, putting myself out there has inspired other people that look like me to say like, oh, maybe the sport is for me, and sort of like then you start that chain reaction just by putting yourself out there and just making it inclusive. So yeah, so I think, you know, 2024 is going to be the year that we're going to take over triathlons in the UK. So
That's amazing, amazing. How are you feeling? Another question, so we wait, or
oh, I think let's just start because I don't want to. Obviously, we have Khadijah very kindly donating her time today, and yes, we'll have plenty of time at the end for a Q&A, whether it's with Khadijah or myself or you, Sandra, as well. So I just wanted to start by giving everybody welcome to today's webinar. We're so excited to host today. I am Bianca. I am the chair of On Her Try UK. So we are a charity. We haven't been even live for a year. You know, we just started like last October, and what got our charity status this March. Our goal is to support women doing their first triathlon and support women who are still at the start of their journey, you know, from 0 to 3 years through our mentorship program and a number of breaking down barriers to the sport, especially at entry level. I have an incredible team of other female triathletes that are also passionate about bringing gender diversity to the sport, and we run a small number of programs. You know, we're not as big as Cycle Sister, we're just tiny charity, but definitely with this partnership with Cycle Sisters UK, we want to bring Muslim women into triathlon next year. So this is going to be done through sponsorship. So we have to secure a number of places to do for Challenge London for Cycle Sisters. And if you're not from Cycle Sister, you can still apply for our sponsor places, you know, through the wider Fund Her Try initiatives. So we raise funds in order to support that, and we partner with events as well in order to get, you know, some entries and some discounts. I am a triathlete myself. I'm a multi-time, 5-time Ironman finisher. I've done dozens of 70.3. Like I said, but my journey is like I didn't come from a background of sporting. I've done no sports until I started doing it, and had to learn everything from scratch. So don't think that you have to be of a certain level or you have to have that the sport in order to start your journey. So definitely you only need to want to do it. And I'm in love with triathlon. I really love the sport. Sandra, I'm going to hand over to you for a quick introduction about Cycle Sisters.
thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome.
Alaikum salam.
Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Sama Saeed, and I'm chair of board of trustees for Cycle Sisters. And I'm also ride leader for our Hounslow group, and I can see some of you are in the house. Welcome. So Cycle Sisters is a charity which aims to inspire and enable Muslim women to cycle. We're a community-led organization which has emerged from identifying a significant gap in opportunities for Muslim women to cycle without having to compromise religious or cultural values. Our work uses cycling as a platform to ensure equal access to health and well-being benefits, as well as building stronger, more connected communities with strong female leadership. We set up our first Muslim women's cycling community cycle group in Waltham Forest back in 2016. And over the past 5 years or so, our work has been recognized as being pioneering and hugely successful in supporting large numbers of Muslim women to cycle. We have subsequently set up new groups. We're now based in 9 other boroughs, London boroughs, and now we have over 1,300 members, which is incredible. Most recently, and the reason we're gathering here today, is we established Tri Sisters to inspire and enable Muslim women to participate in triathlon. Some of our members have recently completed London Challenge, Black Tri, as well as taking part in Swim Serpentine. So it's been a remarkable journey to enhance our participation not only in cycling, but also in swimming and in running. Back to you, Bianca. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sandra. And I think now we're just going to hand over to our superstar of the night, Khadijah. Thank you for joining us from the US.
Thank you for having me. And I love hearing your missions, Samara, because it's so much more than just about sport. I've gained physical fitness from triathlon, but so much more in confidence, in understanding of my health and of my power as a Muslim and my power as a woman. So I love hearing your mission because you get it. You totally get it. I'm going to share a presentation right now, and it is a presentation. Can everyone see my presentation at this point?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, excellent. It is a presentation, but I definitely want it to be interactive. I want it to be a conversation between all of us. So I'm Khadijah Diggs. I am, at this point, the only Muslim woman to have ever been on the US triathlon team. There will be 3 others next year. I started a program called Diversity Infusion Syndicate, where I selected Muslim women to coach them in anticipation of competing in national championship races. And I am overwhelmed and thrilled to say that all 3 of them qualified for the US team. One of them was national champion in the super sprint in her age group. So that's who I am. As you can see, I identify as first as a Muslima. There's nothing that I can do without my faith. As a mom, that's my most important job. To pay for all of my shenanigans, I am a project manager with the power company, and I'm a triathlete. It's a huge part of who I am as a person and as a Muslim and as a woman. Um, So what's a triathlon? I think we talked about that a little bit earlier. It's swim, bike, and run. If you can do all 3 of those things, you are a triathlete. It comes in various distances. I did my first triathlon. It was called the Iron Girl. It was here in Atlanta, Georgia. It was a sprint distance triathlon, and I did it as part of an initiative for a sorority that I belong to. I belong to an Islamic-based sorority called Gamma Gamma Chi Sorority Incorporated, and I fell in love with it. Unlike a lot of people, this swim was the easiest part for me. I've been a swimmer all of my life. I never swam competitively, but my father comes from a place where open water swimming was common. I learned how to swim in open water. And the running joke was I learned how to swim before I could walk. It was easier to just throw me in the water than allow me to walk around. So that's how I got started in triathlon. I also ran track in college. I never owned a bike. I grew up in New York, and there was never a need for me to have a bike. But I did run track in college. I ran the 400 and the 800 in college. And I really thought that a triathlon was going to be easy. But it was hard. It was literally the hardest thing I had done athletically. And like Bianca mentioned, I did it once and I was really in love with just the thought process, the challenge. Um, and to be honest, I just loved to do the sport. I didn't realize, it didn't even hit me that there were no other Muslim women doing it. I noticed that there weren't a lot of other people of color doing it or Hispanics doing it, but I didn't really think about it because in my life I had always been in positions where I was the only one. I went to a school where there were very few African Americans. I specifically chose a historically Black university because I had always lived my life in situations where I was one of the only Black people there. I'm an engineer. I am, through most of my career, I'm usually the only person under 50. I'm usually only woman, and I'm usually only non-Caucasian. So those things, it didn't hit me until I won a race and someone refused to get on the podium with me because I was Muslim. So those type of things, it didn't hit me until then. I was just doing what I love to do. And even now, even though it's become so much more than just racing, I love to train. I love to race. And that's what it's all about for me. So I want to pause just for a second. Did anybody have any questions or anything that they wanted to ask at this point?
Well, I'm just shocked. I mean, like, I think a lot of us have had like some difficult, like I had like difficult encounters in my journey as well, like people who told me that I was never going to be able to swim because I'm black, or that I'm too slow, or that I shouldn't, like, for some reason that I shouldn't be there. So some variation of that, you know. And but every time I hear somebody else tell me about their challenges, you know, it just like really it really makes me angry, but also just really gives me purpose, you know, and see that what we do, what we're doing here, that's why it's important, you know. I cannot believe somebody will not go under the podium, you know. Just
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
just
it's
yeah.
been a journey, and I try to, the Muslim women that I coach, I try to prepare them for the situation. I can even go to this year when I took a team of 3 Muslim women to the national championships. Um, One young lady, she's extremely modest. She even swims in her shorts. Um, and someone just thought that it was okay to walk up to her and say, well, you know, you're going to be slower in those shorts. And fortunately, she's young, she's only 20 years old, but extremely confident, that I could gain from the confidence that she exudes. She said, I am Muslim and this is how I choose to race. And the woman persisted, well, who is your coach? She said, well, that's my coach. She turned and asked me, was I a real coach? And I'm very sarcastic. Please, may Allah forgive me for some of the things that I say. But I said, no, I just walk around with fake coaching credentials. It's just because we had to wear credentials to be where we were. And so I try to prepare them for what they're going to experience, but I don't think you fully realize it until it happens. I've been pulled off of starting lines. I've been disqualified and had to petition to head officials simply because I raced in hijab. So those are things, and that was part of, not part of, that was my entire push to have the rules written down. I know it says in Islam that, you know, to verbally agree to something is fine, but the sunnah is to write it down. So that's what I wanted it on paper, to say that not only, oh, because you know me, it's okay that I race and you know my kits are legal. No. I want it written down so that every Muslim woman who races, whether she has the courage to open her mouth or not, understands that she has the right to be there. That's what the entire push has been about. The reason that I began that journey, and I'm going to share this story with you. It was an Ironman branded race in Raleigh, North Carolina. I followed the guidelines that I was given. I notified the race director that I would be racing fully covered. I understand that it was a non-wetsuit race, that the kit that I was wearing was fully approved, and I did everything according to the books. And on the day of the race, they told me that they would not allow me to start with my age group. I would have to start in the back with people who would not be eligible for awards because they wore a wetsuit. I said, I'm not wearing a wetsuit. I'm wearing an ITU legal kit. They said, we don't care. I I put the approval notice in my swim cap, and I went to my age group, and literally, and this man is my friend, this is friends with me to this day. I belong to an association called Black Triathletes Association. All of them knew what was going on. They literally blocked the officials from getting to me. And when the horn for my age group went off, I dove in. And once I was already in the water, I guess they gave up, like, this woman is not going away. So that's what started I was like, the stress level it was unbelievable. And I felt like I'm a pretty ballsy person. I could only imagine my daughter going through the same situation.
Absolutely.
That's when all of this started. And that was in 2016. The rules were not changed until 2023.
That reminds me, this is the last interjection I'll make, because if not, I can obviously speak to you forever. That photo of the first woman who ran Boston Marathon, obviously it was only a male-only race. And then this woman wanted to do it. She registered, as a male. You couldn't tell it was a woman when she turned up at the race. There's this official tries to just like
Yes,
get her out, and it's just all the runners, just sheltering in and allowing her to run. And obviously now women are 45% of marathon finishers in a race, but it just took her that level of the people around her to support her and shelter her in order for her to be allowed to do it. So
yeah, it's
uh,
you do nothing alone. If you
yeah.
if you think that anything happens, change happens, and you've created it on your own, you're a fool. I've had so many people who had nothing to gain to support me. And I look at it as they're not only supporting me, they're supporting my daughter, every Muslim sister who sees me out there racing. And now who will see, I was, I was, I was overwhelmed in Spain at WT finals. There were almost 2,000 athletes who qualified for that event. Very hard to qualify for. The fact that there were 5 hijabis there, I was completely overwhelmed. Up until the up until this year, I had always been the only one. And to see all, and they're much younger than me, which is exciting. I expect one of them to be on the podium. That's what I'm praying for. And the crazy thing is, all of this fuss is, you can wear a fur coat if you want to on the bike and the swim. All of this fuss on the bike and the run, all of this fuss is just about the swim. And it's even been proven that the full coverage kits, they create drag. It makes us a little bit slower. But that's okay, because we rather become as ourselves than to be faster or to sacrifice who we are. So that's, I mean, that literally, that's the swim. Sometimes you're in a wetsuit. I know we talked about wetsuits. I used to wear sleeveless wetsuits. I now wear a full wetsuit. This was recent. This was actually this year, was it? Yeah, this picture is from this year. I was a little traumatized. The water was cold. Um, and there's even a time you can see right here, my arms were out. I swam, I think 3 races. I decided I was just gonna wear, to get officials to leave me alone, I was gonna wear a sleeveless swimsuit. And I keep those pictures because I want to remind myself I will never change who I am for anyone. Somebody's like, why don't you take those pictures? I was like, no, because I want to always be reminded that I made a sacrifice that I should not have made. So I always keep those pictures. And the swim is actually my favorite part. I'm fastest on the bike, surprisingly, but the swim is actually my favorite part. Let's see. Oops, I went too far. There's different types of bikes. Some of you will be racing on road bikes for draft legal races. And it's okay, even if it's not draft legal, to use a bike that is not an aero bike. I actually have all of the bikes I've ever owned in this picture, except for my very first one. This was the Green Machine. I lost that in a car crash. This is my current bike. This is Tranquilo. I name all of my bikes. They ride faster if you name them. And then this is my road bike. This is the bike that I rode at WT Championships this year. It's a draft legal bike. And that bike is named Baby Cakes. So, but the bike that you choose is based on the type of racing that you want to do. If you're racing a 70.3 or longer, if you can afford it, buy a time trial bike. If you're doing more draft legal or sprint races, or in Georgia, it's extremely hilly. So for some of the shorter sprints, I'll ride a road bike because you're a little bit more agile. And I've started doing some draft legal, which I really love. You'll need to have a road bike. And all of this is universal. It's not just for Muslim women or women. We're more the same than different. It's the hijab and the choice to cover that the only thing that makes makes you different. And I know I've said this probably 3 times already. If it's a sanctioned race in the United States, and if it's a WT race, you have the right to come as you are. And even if it's not on the books, wherever you live, be the advocate, be the person to make sure that it's on the books.
I think we have to take that action, Sandra, to check with British Triathlon whether that's been written down for British Triathlon sanctioned races. And if not, I think that could be a good task for Front Her Tri to help with. You know, we can help champion and make sure that that's written down as well, and take the US example, you know, as
Yeah.
for that.
And the precedent has been set.
Yes.
World Triathlon and USA Triathlon, they have the exact same verbiage. And it's like a legal case. The precedent has been set.
It's amazing because what Kelly's been doing, like in the black tri, it really states it. Like you can come as you are, you can dress in A and B and C and D. She names it and lists it, so no one is actually removed from participation. But obviously, quite not really clear and other. You are aware that you can participate, but it's not really. Yeah, we do need to take that as an action and make sure that it's actually written.
Yeah. And like I said, I promise you, it won't be an issue until one of you wins a race. When you win a race, then it'll be a problem. So it's actually a good feeling. When I first started racing, and I've used this example in many instances, I was treated like a visitor. Oh, isn't it nice? The little Muslim girls come in a race. And now they just see me as a competitor. And that's what I always wanted. I just wanted to race. It's like, oh, the Muslim girls come in a race. That's what I want. And whether you want to just participate or whether you want to go for the podium, I want everyone to have that choice, to be able to not be limited by someone else's box that they want to put you in. You choose where you want to be. And the run is my least favorite leg. Sometimes she shows up and sometimes she doesn't. But when I get my mind into it, I'd love to run strong, and it feels good when you get into it. And it's where you come across the finish line. So and as you can see, I wear a skirt on the run. These are some pictures of some of my favorite races. I race in Havana every year. I have family and a lot of friends in Cuba, so I do Triathlon Havana every year. And they have a really nice Muslim community there. One of their number one triathlete right now, Alejandro Rodriguez Diaz. He's Muslim. His family is they immigrated to Cuba from Yemen, and their whole family is Muslim. So they're out there cheering. It was funny the first time I did Triathlon Havana, when I was running, I heard this Allahu Akbar. I was like, wait, what's going on? And everybody had come out because they saw that I was racing. So it was an exciting feeling. And this picture right here in the white, I was racing in South Africa. Once again, there was a big Muslim community, and the run went right by the mosque, and a lot of people were out. This year in the green, there is a group called Fast Chicks here in the United States. They encourage women to come out. It's like a big sisterhood, and every year they have a takeover. So there's usually about 100 of us that show up to one race, and everybody's wondering, where did all these women come from? Why are they all cheering for each other? So that race, I love to do that race and to show out. And the other one in the blue, that was the last kit that I had to make. I've always had to take existing kits and add sleeves and add leg coolers. But I always keep this picture because it reminds me of where I've come from. I'm sponsored by a company called F2C Nutrition. They're in Canada. And when the kits came out, the owners, Glenda and Greg, called me and they said, we're going to make sure that you have a kit like everyone else. and I was a little bit confused. They actually had a designer from Peaks Apparel. His name is Jason Reinhardt, and he designed my first real kit. Nothing sewn together, no sleeves tied on. It was a real kit, and it opened my mind up to what feeling comfortable, um, how it could change how I raced, how it changed my mind. And I've never raced in anything else. And this year, like I said, why 2023 has been so special, I've spent ever since I had my first custom kit trying to figure out, everyone can't afford $600-700 for a custom kit. How can I make it so that Muslim women can go buy something right off the shelf, just like everyone else? And I've tried to work with several different companies. And this year with Varlo, a company named Varlo Sports, they worked with not just a hijabi design, they went all out. She's a niqabi who actually helped design the Noor kit for Varlo Sports. It is the only kit that I'm aware of, as much research as I do, that they have. It's a WT, USAT approved kit. You can buy it right off the shelf. It's comparably priced to everyone else's kits. They did the green kit that you see me in. They did that custom design for me, and I love to brag about the design. The design going down my leg, is an Islamic mosaic. That's how much care they took in the design. They took all the information that I gave them as an elite age grouper, and we went through, that's probably the third iteration to get it just right. The kit feels like skin. It's beautiful. It provides good coverage. And the way they do the coloring and the shading, you can wear a skirt and it looks great. So these are some of the things that as Muslim women we have available to us now. You can get a custom kit, but and I'm sure others will follow. That's the thing. We have to set the precedent, and I'm sure others will follow. The reception to the Varlo full coverage kit has been amazing. There have been women who aren't even Muslim, uh, who burn horribly, who've asked, a woman who is a skin cancer survivor, she bought the kit and thanked thanked me for being a part of it.
Absolutely. I think after the today's webinar, we're gonna get those links and share with the community, because that sounds like a great option to
Yeah.
for the team. Is it?
Yeah. So I know you talked about there being three disciplines in triathlon. Um, and I also want to go back to Samara's point about health. One of the things that triathlon has given me is a renewed sense of healthy eating. Um, Even on the bike, how we fuel ourselves. We have to look at it as nutrition and fueling. We have to fuel ourselves to be able to do these things, and if we want to compete, to be able to compete to our fullest extent. And also just being conscious of what we put in our mouths. One of the things that we say as Muslims, our body has rights over us. What are we putting in our mouths? What are we using to fuel ourselves to do the things that we do? We have to exercise, but we also have to fuel ourselves appropriately. Um, the exposed vegan is, and I'm not saying that everybody should be vegan. I myself am not even vegan, but I do follow her teachings in eating whole foods. Uh, if you're going to drink juice, why not just buy a $50 juicer and drink real juice instead of juice with sugar in it? As I'm a borderline diabetic, so I'm very conscious of my health, and I always share that with everyone. And not only, like I said, was F2C wanted my first sponsor to say, "Hey, we're going to get you a real kit." They literally saved me from going over the edge as a borderline diabetic. A lot of fuels have a lot of sugar in them. We need to be conscious as women, for our health, and as athletes, not to understand what's in our fuel. So that's just something that I always like to share with everyone. Um, and we talked about gear. I couldn't get around talking about Varlo because like I said, that's some of the things I'm so excited about. And one of the things that they've done this year is a lot of these clothing companies have teams, and then you have to buy team gear. For Varlo this year, a full coverage kit is not a special order item. It's part of their list of items you can buy as part of the F2, as part of the Varlo team. So I'm super excited about that. And these are all Varlo kits that you see me in. This is the team kit for the year. This is my custom race kit. I can't race in the team kit because of sponsorships that I have. So I'll be racing in this kit again this year, but I will be wearing this as a practice kit. And this is the NOR kit, the kit that they sell on their website. And I raced in that at Multisport Nationals this year. So
Well, it's absolutely gorgeous. I'll say that. So the design is amazing.
yeah.
We have loads of questions, Khadija.
Oh,
So
I see 32. Oh dear. Okay,
yeah,
let me
so so how long do we have again? Do we have you until
I'm
tomorrow?
I'm fine. I always allot extra time. So whatever, how as long as you'll have me. I'm
Oh,
here. As you can see, I love to talk about triathlon.
well, and I think we can talk to you for days. So let's just maybe start. So Sandra, I'll take the first one, and then we can you can take the next one. I love these questions. Do you feel there was anything from your childhood that geared you towards the path you are on now?
Um, One, I've always loved to open water swim. And two, I am grateful I have parents who have threw me and anything and everything um, that they thought might help me. They allowed me to think beyond where I was at any given moment. I played two instruments. Um, I don't know if any of you have seen me in person, but I'm very small. I'm only like 5'2". I might be 130 pounds, but I played basketball. I ran track. I did gymnastics. They opened my mind to, and they always let me know that I could be anything that I wanted to be, even when others told me something else.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Another question here. I think it was about this question was asked when you were speaking about the situation about Islamophobia and the barriers about participating for Muslim women. So someone has asked you, how do you see the sport, the triathlon, in 10 years' time?
Um, I know what I'd like to see is that a woman showing up in hijab, it's a non-issue. Um, I know for myself now, especially in the Metro Atlanta area and some of the international races that I go to, when they see me, it's no big deal. Oh, it's just Khadijah. I want that for every Muslim woman. With the rules being on the books, I just see us competing wherever we want to compete. I hope to, inshallah, live long enough to see. I've already had the joy of seeing the first hijabi national champion. I want to see a world champion. I want to see multiple professional hijabis. I hope that it's a non-issue. And I just want to see us out there supporting each other, not just as Muslim women, but as women in general, because we have all the same hopes and dreams and issues as women.
I agree, Khadija. And if I can just actually just touch on expand on like an encounter that I had recently a few months back, at a race. So I had a very uncomfortable, horrible encounter with somebody that was being very racist to me, and he couldn't understand that he was. And one of the things that he said is, "I no, no, I have come to you and have to tell you how welcome you are in a triathlon. So why would you come to me and tell me that? Like that is." Signaling me out just because I'm a black woman,
Yeah,
telling me that is the least welcoming thing that you can do, coming to me to tell me that I'm welcome.
yeah.
You don't
I
need to tell
res
me anything. I'm
yeah,
just like here as another competitor, as another one of the others. So that what you said resonated to me, Katie. I just want to walk into our start line and not be singled out because I'm the odd one out.
yeah.
That
I
somebody feels they need to tell me, "Oh, you're welcome to triathlon."
I love open water swimming, and I recently did the Alligator Lighthouse swim. It's an 8 nautical mile swim straight out into the ocean to a lighthouse and back. Um, and the reason I chose it is I did it as a relay with two other Black women, and another Black woman did it solo. Um, and it was just a challenge that I wanted to do. When we showed up this year, myself and my kayaker, we were the only people of color. There were no Hispanics, there were no Black people. We were the only ones there. And there seems to be no in between. It's either people are very against, or sometimes, and and I don't think it's meant to be mean or cruel, but sometimes they're too supportive. And a man said to me that you are an inspiration. And I said, well, why? I came and I swam just like you. I said, I came to prove something to myself, not to anyone. I came to prove to myself that I could do it. And it's just and a couple people asked me, well, how did you learn how to swim? Well, how did you learn how to swim? It's like, this, it's, do I not have the right to swim? Well, who taught you how to swim? My father taught me how to swim. And I think a lot of people don't expect that response where, and I know there always has to be a first in something in your family, but the shock on people's face when they realize, it's generational. My father is almost 80 and he can still swim faster than me. And I'm not a slowpoke. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So it's kind of the how we manage to become who we are. It's like, well, just like you did. I only we just want to treat like that. Oh, I have an excellent question here. So, how do you keep a strong mental health and not allow those microaggressions at the start and during a race to affect you?
It's not easy. Once again, I said I'm fortunate. I have a huge support group. Um, loss for some reason has always kind of protected me and shielded me. There have been times when there have been things against me, and because of the people that I've had around me, sometimes I didn't even realize it until it was all over. I remember I was doing a race in Augusta. I was using it as a training race to prepare for nationals, and I literally had someone grab my arm. Mind you, I was in a Team USA kit. Not that that should even make a difference, but I was in a Team USA kit, and he grabs my arm and he says, "You can't race like that." And the gentleman who was the announcer, I happened to know him from another race. And he stopped him and said, "Hey, blah, 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 this is Khadijah." So, and I kept thinking to myself, well, what if I didn't have on a Team USA kit? What if Mike Ragsdale didn't know who I was? But the thing was, I went from chatting with her to looking at this man like, if you don't get your arm off of me, there's going to be a problem, right back to chatting and focused on the race. A lot of it is just confidence in yourself. um, and that's easy to say, just get confidence in yourself, but really believing in yourself as a person and believe that I deserve this just as much as anyone else, and surrounding yourself with the right people. I am, like I said, I'm so fortunate um, to have the group of people that I have around me. It's important, and there's sometimes you just have to check out. You have to know when to say no. Um, there have been times where I turn off social media, or I don't take an interview, or it's you just have to know when to turn it on, when to turn it off. Find your tribe and just be totally focused on the fact that you are just as good, you are just as deserving as anyone else, and be proud of that.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It's truly inspirational. And I think there was a comment in the chat about how, it's not a question, but I thought it was really cute to share if you missed it. Sima said that as a new widow, I won my first gold medal in drag no boat racing at 60 years old, and you have given me to try triathlon. Congratulations to you, Seema. That's incredible. I'm going to move us to a very light question that was asked by Ruth, and that was when you were talking about bikes, and you said that naming bikes makes you bike faster. And on that spirit, what was your inspiration for naming your bikes, the name that you've given them?
Oh, okay, the green machine is just green is my favorite color. My sorority colors are lavender and emerald green, and I love green because it was supposedly the favorite color of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I named it the green machine. I named my black bike, my black time trial bike Tranquilo because I don't know, I have a need for speed. And when I'm on my bike, everybody's like, even when I say I was like the most awful ride ever, there was too many climbs, they said I'm always smiling and I look happy. So I decided to call that bike Tranquilo. And then I call my road bike Baby Cakes because it's like I found the frame and then I found the parts and I put the bike together, but it's still, even though it's like this monstrosity of just parts put together, it always rides really nice for me. So I just decided to give it like my little boyfriend name, Baby Cake. So
Amazing.
yeah.
I love that. I just wanted to say that obviously Khadijah is at the pointy end of triathlon, so equipment makes matter, but nobody here needs to freak out. We don't need to go and bike these bikes, whatever bike you have,
Oh no,
you
no.
can, yes, you can do your triathlon. And the other thing, Khadijah, you have to come next year to race with us. We're all targeting Challenge London, which
Oh, Challenge
has
London. When is that?
it's in July. So it has a sprint, Olympic, super sprint, and middle distance. And it's 1,000. So we are going to take over as a group. So please put it in the diary. And the thing about Challenge London, what I love the most is that is you have complete beginners, first time, like my bike, my 100-pound bike there, all the way to professional elite. It has an elite race and everything in between. So you can see all the flavors of triathlon, all, and you can just see like journeys. And I can just be here just casually, and then you can also see, the pointy end of the sport as well. So
Yeah.
we want you here, Khadijah, for that.
Yeah.
I took
And
part.
even as a competitive athlete, I mean, I wouldn't say that I have, top end uh bike. It's all about the engine. I mean,
Yeah,
you have to believe in your training. And the bike does make up a huge portion of the triathlon, and it's important to be strong on that. But if the engine is not primed, it's not going anywhere anyway.
absolutely. Yeah.
So true. That's so true. I was going to mention how I think few people here have taken part, particularly Ruth. She's taken part in the London Challenge this year, and Sarah Javid as well. And I took part in the sprint relay, so that's also an option. So we, two of my friends and I, we worked to our strength. So I'm a cyclist, and then I got Nafisa, who's a runner, and then another friend who's a swimmer. And it was just amazing for us. It was just lovely. We were taking part for the first time, but we wanted to know how does it all happen, like what happens. Really, they had this thing called sprint relay meetup, right, 100 meters before the runner finishes, and we were able like to cross the line together. So it was so fun and such a vibes, and it really just made me think like this is all kept hidden secret. Like this is so what's happening here? Yeah, so it was, yeah, but obviously I haven't tried at that level, all of them. So I salute all the women who have participated this year, but we are planning to go as a collective next year, and it's going to be marvelous. It'll be so great to have you on board with us. And Bianca, over to you for a question.
Yes. I have some questions about kit. I want to know if the complete swim kit lets water in the arms and legs, as some Muslim Burkins slow you down when you swim due to the water getting in.
Um, Anything that's not the swim skin, the professional swim skin or the wetsuit, it'll slow you down a little bit. The looser that it is, the more it will slow you down because it creates more drag. But I wouldn't be concerned about that. I recognize that if it's a non-wetsuit race, I will wear a skin over whatever portion of my kit that it covers. I recognize that the remainder of my kit is going to slow me down a little bit, yeah, but it just depends on, you know, what's most, and I don't want to put it in a way that's like condescending or make you feel like whatever choice you make is not the right choice, but it just depends what, you know, your choice is and what your priority is. Like I said, in the past, more so to get officials to leave me alone, I've worn just the skin and had my arms out. And then I made a conscious decision to just, you know, show up as myself. I think it's more important for you to show up as yourself than to worry about the few seconds that you're going to lose per 100 on the swim. Yeah, it does slow you down, but you know, just that, make it a personal choice. Don't make it about time.
Uh-huh. Thank you so much. Um, Oh, I think have I missed this one? Okay, this is also to do with swimming. And I'm not sure whether you have covered this, so apologies if it's a repeat.
Mhm.
But an asker is asking about when we participate in the swim, do we have the opportunity to change out of the wet clothes, or what happens in that transition?
Oh, I just rip my wetsuit off and I whatever's underneath is what I go with. You believe me, you drive pretty fast.
So hold on a minute. Hold on. So do you wear your bike tri under your wetsuit?
Yes. Uh-huh.
You're amazing.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I swim just like that with my wetsuit. So like um I don't think I have a picture of it. I know I'd have to look for it, but I have video of me coming out of the water and I'm literally ripping the zipper down, and
Oh,
as I'm running, I'm pulling it off and I already have my kit underneath. For WT, we're required to throw it in a box, and I jump right onto my bike. I think even now on my IG page from my last event, you can even see my transition from the bike to the run. I literally, my bike doesn't even stop rolling. I come over to the left side of my bike and I roll to the dismount line, and there's no pause at all. You jump off and you keep running. And I put my bike on the rack with one hand. And as I'm putting the bike on the rack with one hand, I'm reaching down and putting my shoes on. There's
that's
no pause.
that's incredible. I salute you. So on that note, speaking about health and everything, when do you fuel up in that time in that transition? Because like how Bianca and I talked about having a burger and taking our time in that like what happens? Because I'll be like, I need a moment, everyone.
So I call my bike the buffet. I fuel up with, depending on the distance of the race, 200 to 400 calories before I jump in the water. And on the bike, I carry bottles that have my favorite distance is a 70.3. So I'll carry bottles, and they're not very small. They're I keep it concentrated with 1,000 calories. So I sip on those 1,000 calories the entire time that I'm riding the bike, and I keep a bottle of water, and I just kind of rinse my mouth out as I go to just keep everything entirely liquid. I don't use any solids the entire race. And then on the run, I carry it's a collapsible hand flask that generally has about, depending on the distance, like for a half marathon, I'll carry 400 calories in there. That should be sufficient.
I think, Sandra, this is a great topic for us to actually have another webinar from Fun Her Try and just talk about nutrition, because there's so much choice there. Obviously, Khadijah, for example, she prefers liquid. I do too. For the longer races, I will like stuff, sandwiches on my back pockets, and it's an excellent topic. So I think leave that with us, and in Fun Her Try UK, we're gonna put another webinar and we can just talk about nutrition per different distances. And we can expand on all the choices that you can have for your race, depending on whether it's a super sprint all the way to a full distance triathlon.
And it's a very important choice, because once again, because of health reasons. A lot of the fuels out there are simple sugars. and you have to really evaluate what you use based on your health, your age.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things to consider.
Amazing. Bianca, with you.
Yes, let me go to the next one. I like this question. It's a how do you get, like, because obviously sponsorship, did you reach out to sponsors, or did they come to you once you saw your wins?
The funny thing is, there's like this prescribed method to do it, and none of the people that I'm associated with have happened that way. I am very proud and very grateful for the fact that every single organization that I'm associated with, it happened organically. And it was something that, and I even shared this with the post when I said that I am officially a Varlo athlete. Um, I asked the athletes that I work with, are you simply seeking sponsorship? Or if this product, there was no ambassadorship, sponsorship, or anything associated with it, would it still be your first choice? Everyone that I'm associated with, they would be my first choice no matter what. F2C, I at my first world championship in Penticton, Canada, I met them, and I had had issues the race before. My blood sugar was so out of whack after every race, I was sick. And I talked with the owner, and everybody says, never do this, never, nothing new on race day. I literally threw away my fuel and I used their fuel on the race. And when it was the first race where I had energy the entire race and I wasn't sick after that, I was sold. I didn't even realize they had an ambassador program. I just started using their stuff, and I was writing them letters about, how do I use this product and that product? And they said, well, why don't you just become an ambassador and then you can come? I was like, oh, I didn't even know what that was. I was just out there racing. The Exposed Vegan, the young lady, I was at a race and this young lady comes up and starts talking to me. She didn't tell me her name and anything. And the running joke is, I said, and your name is? So every time she comes, we see each other, she comes up to me and she says, hi, I'm Jaja, and your name is? So, but I unknowingly, through my journey in figuring out how to fuel myself as a borderline diabetic, she started following me and she changed her diet. So it was kind of an exchange of just an exchange of knowledge. She helped me with my everyday diet. I helped her with her fueling. She had failed to get through, I think, 2 or 3 Ironmans. And after us having consult with each other on fueling, she was able to finish her first Ironman. And I wasn't feeling well that day. I had raced too much, and I finished before her, but I wrapped myself up in one of those aluminum foil blankets, and I sat there, and I didn't want to be there, but I was waiting for her to finish. And when she came to the finish line, I leaned over the fence and I waved so she could see me, and I went back, and it was the most amazing feeling. She's ended up writing books about health and nutrition. She started a restaurant, and that's how that relationship started. Fitness, to me, just they make tools that teach you how to swim. Fitness Swim, that if you use their tools properly with your drills, your technique, if you consistently work with them, you will swim better. When I started disc and I said, look, I don't have a lot of money, I need to get these things for my athletes, they gave me a ridiculous discount and I was able to outfit all of my athletes for next to nothing. When I asked, I don't really know them, I don't know them on a personal level like that, but anytime I've ever asked for assistance with disc, they've helped. And that shows me that they see what I'm trying to do. And regardless of whether we have a personal relationship or not, they're willing to help. You know the story with Varlo. Comfort Zone soaps. I have issues with my skin. This young lady started a skincare program business because her son had eczema. I use her shea butter as chamois butter. It smells good, it's healing, and I don't chafe. And I like her soap. So, but like I said, every organization, and Fenn Coffee, the gentleman that owns Fenn Coffee, he is still the only male African-American professional triathlete in the United States. He owns a coffee company. He teased me about liking instant coffee. And he said that if you try my coffee and you like it, he said, I'll make a blend named after you. What kind do you like? I said, I like hazelnut and chocolate. There's literally at Fen Coffee, there's a Khadijah blend, and I love his coffee. So that's, I mean, there's there is a way to, when there's open season, which is usually this time of year through December, if there's a brand that you like, file for their ambassador program, and just continue to be active. If it, let things grow organically, and it won't seem like a job. None of these organizations that I represent seems like a job. If somebody asks me, I can talk about each and every one of them all day because they're beautiful memories. They're products I would always choose first. I know
That
that's a lot. I'm sorry.
No, that's really useful, because we're always having this conversation, like, what do we need, the day before the race? I mean, most of us here as Cycle Sisters, we do long rides, and we do ride London, which is 100 miles. People have been doing London to Birmingham, and so they kind of know how to nutrition themselves in terms of when they're on the ride. But is that transition when you go into triathlon, like, how do you actually, particularly when you're weaker in one, so I don't run, I walk. So with the recent one that I took part in, this last triathlon, I wrote to them saying, can I walk the 5K? I can walk it in a really reasonable time, but I can't run because of my knee. And they were very, like, supportive. They're like, of course, come as you are. But it's about also knowing, oh, am I going to eat? And like, how am I going to do this? And how do I keep myself sustained during all of that time? So it's really, really useful. We really appreciate
Yeah.
you being so generous.
And don't be ashamed to walk, because I've walked a few marathons myself.
I wish there's a shame associated. I don't even have an option. I was like, I'm just walking, and I really enjoy walking, and it's just like, I'm trying to do that Olympian race walk that I look funny doing it, but it's really, really fun. And speaking of fun, the next question is to you, Bianca. Somebody would like to know more about how they can apply, or what is actually the fun you're trying, and how does it work, the process wise.
Oh, excellent. This is what I love to hear. So, so we sponsor women doing their first triathlon. So sadly, this is the only sponsorship. However, we have secured some places for Cycle Sisters anywhere for Challenge London, for people who have done already a triathlon. So you just have to come apply it on our website. We have very limited funds. We're a tiny, tiny charity. So all that we ask is a self-declaration that finances are a barrier. We don't mince tests, we don't ask for anything else. We just want you to apply. If finances are a barrier to try to enter the sport, just apply and send us it's a very quick application, with what race you want to do, when what distance, and just a short caption that we can use on our social media. And as long as we have funds, we accept everyone. The only reason that we would reject an applicant is if we don't have any entries or any funds to support that. So you don't have to be fast or elite or promising in any way. So as long as you said that you just self-declare the finances are a barrier, and you just complete that application, and we have funds or entries, you're welcome to join for her Try UK community.
That's marvelous. Thank you so much. And a question for you, Khadijah, or both of you, perhaps, if you can elaborate this question from coming from EJ, is how do you actually prepare for a triathlon? What do you do during the off season?
Oh, during the off season, the first 2 weeks after my last race, I generally go into just an hour a day of whatever I want to do. I'll swim one day, bike one day, run one day. I go into heavy weightlifting. So during the season, I do strength training, but it's very light. It's usually with bands and body weight. During the off season, I do heavy weights, plated weights. Body plus extra weight, and I also do a lot of hiking. I do weighted hikes, which helps you build your heart, and it protects your joints, but also builds the tendons around your joints in doing the weighted hiking. So there's a place here, Stone Mountain, I'll wear like a 15-pound weight vest and hike Stone Mountain and a few other places. So that's what I do during the off season, and those are things I genuinely love. I am an outdoors person. So I'll continue to swim in the pool, go on runs. My best friend, she's a really fast runner, and she always ropes me into all these road races. Or she'll go win and I'll show up, a couple minutes later and she's waiting there for me. So I try to just enjoy myself in the off season and work on technique. And I also started a tradition of I work primarily from home and my gym is right there. So I always do something for myself. As far as my gym is concerned, last year didn't have a lot of fun, so all I did was I painted and move some things around just to make it more comfortable. So that's what I do. I just, for at least the first 2 weeks, I just kind of relax, do what I want to do before I go into anything structured, and I take the time to reward myself for the season.
Well, I take not a completely different, but like for me, I don't have off season. Basically, for me, I just like I said at the start, I just love triathlon, right? So I will just change the volume of what I'm doing in the winter, but I don't have like like it's not Khadijah's, but some triathletes are like that's it, like I'm done with triathlon until next spring. I was like, no, I still want to swim, cycle,
Yeah,
and bike. So I will obviously in the UK, Khadija, like it's pretty miserable in the winter. So I will do less cycling outdoors. I will spend more time on my turbo indoors. I will
yeah,
definitely do more running. For me, the winter is running heavy. I do cross country, I go hiking. I just sort of like before I did triathlons, I was just I only learned to run, as 29. But that's all I did. My husband is an ultra marathon, so we do long distance running, both of us. So that's what I will do during the winter and try to be more in the pool, which I actually hate compared to open water. But obviously in the winter, that's what we have. And so for me, it's not an off season. For me, it's just a season of a different volume in terms of what
yeah,
I do in the sport.
yeah,
It also depends. I don't know, the question was asked to somebody who comes from a swimming background or not, but it's a great time to just, like Khadija said, just practice technique in the pool.
yeah,
Because once you start getting races, obviously you have to be more specific, go open water, etc. So you don't have really time to work on those finer details. So that's gonna be my goal this winter as well. I'm making myself a commitment. I'm gonna say it here out loud so you guys can keep me accountable to be in the pool at least 3 times a week. So
write that
I
down too.
said it, yes, I said it, I signed it, so it has to be, because once it comes the racing season, that just becomes quite disrupted between racing and preparing for specifics.
Yeah,
So I think that can also be another topic for another Fun Her Try talk. What to do during the winter months. Whilst we hibernate a bit in the UK, what can you do to just keep some base fitness, and then once the spring comes, just focus on the more race specific stuff.
yeah. And it's kind of hard because my first race of the year is all, like I said, I do a Triathlon Havana every year, and that's always the second or the third or fourth week in February. So it's not like I have a huge amount of time off, but you do need a mental break, especially if you're doing, some high pressure races. It's important to give your mind a break.
Amazing, amazing. I mean, speaking of off season, and if I can be very cheeky and ask my own question, what do you do in Ramadan?
Oh, Ramadan is always Ramadan. We literally, the team that I took to nationals, Ramadan Eid day was the second day of National Multisport Championships. The young lady who won the super sprint, she won her national championship on Eid day. It's hard. You have to shift the timing of your training. Um, I I really, especially because these young ladies weren't used to training during Ramadan, I reduced their volume, did some strength training. I gave them some adjustments I wanted them to make on their diet to make sure that they had additional protein so they didn't get, because you lose a little bit of muscle when you're fasting. So to make sure that they minimized muscle breakdown when they were training. It's not easy. But the crazy thing is all of my best races have happened immediately following Ramadan. It just, I think the spiritual and mental journey is so much more powerful than the physical journey. Um, the first couple of years where I was quote unquote serious about racing, I worried about Ramadan. And then after that, I stopped worrying about it. And when I stopped worrying about it, it was like if Allah just, I don't know, shielded me. I can't explain, but definitely just eating more protein, reducing the volume, adjusting your training times, and not worrying about it. And the if you prioritize everything that's going on, I'm not gonna miss Ramadan for a race.
Absolutely. I think I want to have the next question. How do you maintain momentum to stick to plan or structured training? Or how do you create plans for training and have accountability partners? Do you have a coach or are you self-trained, Khadijah?
I have never been able to afford a triathlon coach, which is crazy. And that's one of the reasons that I did the disc program, because I recognize that coaching, even more so than the cost of races, is not necessarily a barrier to participation, but a barrier to a lot of women, not just Muslim women, in excelling in triathlon. I do ride with the Metro Atlanta Cycling Club, which is an extremely competitive cycling club here in Atlanta. As I stated before, my best friend, she used to be a professional runner. She ran for Guyana. She runs for the U.S. Masters team now. So I've had her advice and assistance. Um, uh, I have family members who are extremely good swimmers who have helped me with, even though I've been swimming all of my life, I never swam competitively. So I've had people to help me with the technique, but I've been responsible myself for pulling it all together. Um, and as far as accountability is concerned, I have OCD. I'm open with that. So if I I've been able to push myself for most of it, and with training partners, and just to be able to push myself. I will, starting in January, have a coach for the first time in my life. Um, this journey from to where I am now with the rules changes and all of those things, um, has kind of, even though I do race for myself, some of it has, I felt like some of my racing I've had to give away. And I decided that for the next 2 years, 2024 and 2025, um, I'm going to race for the sheer joy of it. I've decided to get a coach and to go full tilt for the next 2 years and see what happens. So I've tried to give as much of myself as I can, and now I want to pour a little bit of self, pour a little bit into myself. So starting 2024, a young lady named Tiantia James will be my coach. She is an amazing athlete herself. She's a two-time Kona qualifier. We actually started our triathlon journey around the same time. She lives here in the Metro Atlanta um, area. She is an emergency room doctor, and just she's a bang up. Her fastest full Ironman, I believe, is like a 10:30. She's a bang up triathlete, and I enjoy training with her. I relate to her as a person. She's a mother. She has a professional career, and I think I'm really going to be able to excel and relate to her.
And I think for just to add to that, I think you mentioned coaching as one of the barriers. So in Inform Her Try, we have two ladies that are joining our coaching team. They're gonna be not coaches themselves, but they're gonna help us. They're coaches themselves anyway, but their role in Inform Her Try UK is going to be to define to have a coaching program for our athletes. We don't know what that's gonna look like yet. Definitely we'll have some webinars, so you will have information, nutrition, how to do, etc. But hopefully we know, because we had support from coaches in Front of Her Try that wrote us training plans, that are keen to provide in-person sessions, etc. We just need to figure out a way to structure that into something that our athletes can benefit from. So stay tuned, because all for her triathletes, we'll have some support on that sense to help them prepare for the race in August, July, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to provide that as well.
Yeah, it's extremely important. Like I said, fortunately I'm pretty self-motivated, and I've been able to excel to a certain level just with, outside assistance, reading a lot. Um, and like I said, my sole purpose in even becoming a certified coach was in supporting the young ladies in the disc program. And it's benefited me as well. But like like I said, ironically, I've been able to come this far, and I've never had a tri coach.
Absolutely. No, and I've had a coach actually for a long time, and I work a very busy job, and I lead a very busy life. So I wouldn't be able to just follow a structure off the shelf, because I
Mhm.
would not be able to just follow those sessions. So, and I understand what an incredible privilege that is, and how that has kept me in the sport for so long. Because for me, training is not a chore. It's just like, it's just done for me. Whatever I have going on in my life, the training would just be adapted and molded to that. And
Mhm.
and I know that because people ask me, how have you done 5 Ironman? That's just terrible. I've done one and I cannot do that. So, well, because it wasn't a chore. It wasn't easy, but I never trained for more than I could do, whilst with everything going on with life, with everything else. So training was just not something that I had to give up on my life in order to do. So, and I felt that has been the reason why I've stayed in the sport. So I know we lose a lot of women due to not having that kind of ongoing support, which is why in Front of Her Tribe, between our mentorship program and our coaching program, we hope to also keep women in the sport, just to say, like, this is the guidance you need. You can follow these sessions, and then you can just enjoy it a little bit more, and then not find it at, oh my God, I have to go to the pool now and I'm so tired and so stressed, and just feel that guilt. So there are really ways just to make the sport part of your, like, a lifestyle. So how I like to call it. Like, for
Exactly.
me, training is a lifestyle. It's not, that's, it's just something that I do. It's just, I don't even need to think about it much. It's kind of,
I
so
can't impress upon you and people enough is to find your tribe. It's so important to find your tribe. To it The training should be a release, not a stress. I enjoy. There have been times where I've had a 60, 70 mile ride, and I've gone further because my mind is free.
yeah, just
The
feel
swimming,
great.
like I said, I'm not the fastest swimmer, but I love the swimming because I love the silence. I love just hearing my heartbeat and just hearing the water. So make sure you're doing it for, and I say that it's more than just sport because triathlon happens to be my platform. You may find in doing this that your platform lies somewhere else, and that's fine. It's more than just sport. It's about your health, it's about your soul, it's about your freedom, it's about that time with yourself, it's about that time with the creator and yourself that's important.
Thank you.
Amazing. I don't think we could have, like, like a stop in a higher note. That was just incredible, Khadija. I think we've covered all the questions. I am just incredibly inspired. I'm just so grateful for this talk. I just feel like I just want to go right now and just go swim.
So
So
I share one of the things, I don't know if you can still see my screen,
yes,
but I shared my social media outlets and the links to my sponsors. And
Brilliant.
some of them don't have discount codes, but if you put that I sent you in the comments, you might get a little
we'll
something. I
make
don't
it.
know. I, I don't want to make any burn, but the other ones, the discounts are in there, and I appreciate you having me. Just like I said, 2023 has been an amazing year for me. Just to see everything all seemingly all at once come to fruition, um, and to see young Muslim women period, just showing up as themselves, and enjoying all sports. especially triathlon, because that's the sport that I love. I just, I can't keep my eyes off Samra. It's just like, I don't know. It's like I see my younger self in her,
Oh.
just joy in I'm here and I'm doing something and I just want to see where it goes. But each and every one of you, just um, one, show up as yourself. Two, don't let anybody tell you that you don't have the right to fill the space that you're trying to fill. That space is yours and it belongs to you. And just like I said, it's the sunnah to write it down. Don't let anybody say it's okay with a handshake. Make them write it down. Make them make as much of a commitment as you're making.
Amazing. Thank
Absolutely.
you so much. Thank you so much. So everyone, oh no, sorry, I just feel a bit emotional. Thank you so much for that. As I feel so blessed that we're in your company and that you shared all your knowledge so generously and so passionate as well. So everyone, Khadijah's social media is on the screen. We will share it with you in a WhatsApp group as well. But for Bianca, you can find her at www.fundhertryuk.org and also on Instagram at fundhertryuk. Psycho Sisters is www.psychosisters.uk. We're also on Instagram as Psycho Sisters UK, and our sister organization, or not organization, but like something that a project is called Tri Sisters UK. That's also on Instagram. So you can either contact Bianca, myself, or Sarah Javid, who is the co-founder for Psycho Sisters, who's been amazing. If you can give it all round of applause, managing the chat and also making sure all your questions. We are very also proud to confirm that we've answered every single question that has been posted, except maybe the last minute or so. And we thank you so much for your time, for letting us get over the time as well. Bianca, over to you to conclude.
No, just honestly, nothing to add. Just Khadija, like, please come back anytime to talk to us again. And definitely, we want to have you in Challenge London next year. So let's touch base on that, and let's make 2024 the year of Muslim women in triathlon.
Inshallah. I definitely have to I'm probably giving away a secret, but I'm doing Lake Placid in July, so it depends on when it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll sync diaries.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Khadija. And thank you everyone for joining us today. The session has been recorded, so we'll share with everybody who missed and everybody who couldn't make it. And yes, please follow Fund Her Try. So we'll post there our next webinar, probably gonna be around nutrition, since sounds to be a topical one. So thank you everyone.
And just one last thing before we conclude. If you are interested in triathlon, obviously, there are Black Tribe that's set up by Kelly. We've all experienced most recently back in August. I think I mentioned that earlier in the chat. But there will be a Brighton event coming up next year in 2024. Please do sign up. It's a very entry level. It's encouraging you to come as you are, but also it's encouraging you to try triathlon to see if this is something for you. So it's a really good place to start. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Khadija.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam rahmatullah.